How's it going, everybody? I'm Gamer Becka.
I'm Gamer Lynn.
We are 10 times 10. And this is not a podcast, but we're just talking about our first impressions of Gallowspire Survivors.
Yeah.
We were so fortunate as to receive a review key to be able to check it out before it launched officially, which I believe was yesterday, or what is April 4th?
And basically we took the time to play the early key for like about a week or two earlier than the release.
Mm-hmm.
I played it closer to the release because I wanted to have Gamer Becca, who doesn't have too much experience with Survivor-like games, to dig in deeper than I, and then basically from her forming an impression from the week or two of gameplay, I take a couple of days before we do the recording and we do a bit of a comparison, because again, at that point I felt like we'd probably be more on par.
Yeah. So my first impressions, because I normally am not the one that goes into like the like bullet hell sort of Survivor games and that sort of thing. I watch Lynn play them, but I've never actually tried them for myself. I see why they're so addicting and why it's so popular for sure. And so I really enjoyed myself. I was very confused. But since I watched Lynn play like Vampire Survivors and that sort of thing, I kind of got like the general gist of, okay, this is how I'm supposed to progress my character. I pick what I think is going to be like the most advantageous, keep building into that sort of thing. So I was quick to catch on to that. As far as actually like figuring out, I don't know, probably not a meta, but basically like something that worked for me that was powerful enough to get me through a few floors before I died and that sort of thing. I was slowly figuring it out. So I think altogether I've got maybe like 5.5 hours myself, and then Lynn had played for like a good like hour.
Yeah, about an hour. Maybe a little bit short of an hour. Definitely from my experience going into it, I'm familiar with the Survivor games. I played Vampire Survivor, yet another Zombie Survivor, and then I think there's a couple of other ones that escape the mind right now for its names and stuff like that. But I've played about a good like 4 or 5 of these different games. Vampire Survivor is yet still the king. And I would say even after playing this game, it's still the king, but definitely I feel like playing these games and then playing this one, there are lessons being learned, and also with certain IPs and ideas that have different approaches to the different survivors that contribute something to basically making these types of games great. So I guess to start off is, so you played the wizard.
Yes.
Who was your companion?
My companion was the like paladin warrior person.
Okay.
Yeah.
He comes out to me more like a fighter. And the reason why I
Okay.
say he's a fighter, because basically how his build is all the different weapons available to him.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is fighter, because it's, what is it, wizard, fighter, rogue?
Yeah, I think so.
Of the 3 that you can pick and everything.
Yeah.
So
Which is kind of like the standard that you get with like a Vampire Survivor or like these Survivor type games, are basically, I think, short of like a healer or cleric kind of person, is your standard kind of like class build for like tabletop RPGs and stuff like that. They kind of cover the bases.
for sure. Yeah, like I always gravitate toward casters, so that's why. As far as building and everything like that, I know while Lynn was playing, I was telling him that, like, from my experience and everything, like, the chakrams were, like, really, really good. As far as, like, projectiles and stuff for my wizard, I did, like, chain lightning and the, what is it, starfall stuff and everything, where there's, like, meteors coming down and whatnot. But, yeah, it's just a lot of that sort of thing, a lot of projectiles. What do you think this particular Survivors game does differently than the other ones that you played?
So what this one does is definitely adaptation of the IP, using Pathfinder kind of ideas, or basically things that are set in that universe, and translating it into what a survivor will have. And what I mean by that when I say that is, just like we talked about with the wizard build that you were doing to my fighter, because I played the fighter and I used the rogue first for my first run, and then I used a wizard companion.
Yeah.
Is those type of ideas and builds of, okay, have this type of weapon translate into kind of like an area effect, what weapon best represents that? Well, that would be the great axe, which, in my opinion, probably would not have been like what I expected the great axe to be, but definitely became my favorite weapon for the fact that major damage and the way its attack pattern worked.
Yeah.
So definitely I felt like, okay, and they made every weapon feel unique for that. Like longsword is your close-up melee, whereas a great axe actually has a range area effect to it. Having the passives. Passive abilities are always active that either boost your character's attributes or certain things that are built around that character. And that's usually what you find in a survivor. As kind of like a passive buff that's constantly going. And then, of course, when you're fighting enemies, when they drop XP, it shows up in the form of these little orbs, glowing orbs, waves of attacks of types of creatures, even to when you get to like a new wave, a new enemy will be introduced, which is very much survivors like. And then the boss, where either you have a mini boss that is just a big creature that shows up during the waves, or what I really like for this one is that they have dedicated boss fights, so the whole stage is just fighting that boss. And then he still gets to call in minions. And then, of course, the top-down kind of like sight thing, or whatever, instead of it being like first-person. Because there's some games that are like that, first-person or third-person, that has you more on the ground level. But this usually what I'm used to is the over-the-head kind of like viewpoint. So that way you can see all your surroundings. And then also, too, looking for loot, chests, probably area buffs and stuff like that. So this game definitely figures out how to utilize that while working in the IP and the ideas that make Pathfinder so great. And then at the same time, too, making it to where it has a good interface. It looks nice.
Do you recall seeing me play? And because I'd mentioned to you, I was like, I'm getting chased by this floating head. And I think at that point, I had like so many passives like happening and everything like that, and then I was like surrounded by people and stuff to where like it should have been super busy and ridiculously like bright and flashy, kind of like how we experienced in like Final Fantasy 14 and stuff, right? But I feel like it was also subdued enough to where you could actually see exactly what's happening, like where like there's a bunch of stuff overlapping and whatnot, but I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can still see my character. I can still see what's happening. And that sort of thing.
That's really good. I would definitely say now, with saying some of this, there was some issues that I did have with the game. Particularly, and I don't know whether this is a game issue or this is just our hardware kind of thing keeping up with what the game is doing. I would lean more towards hardware because, again, some of our equipment and our PCs and stuff like that is not the highest of designs and stuff like that. I think, like, playing off your laptop is our most prestigious computer right now and stuff. And there were moments where it was like a lot of stuff was happening on the screen that there would be a little bit of a lag or a hiccup in the gameplay and stuff like that. But again, I think that leans towards hardware. Definitely, I think simplifying things helps from certain things like that happening for people. But definitely, if your hardware is not up to par, up to a certain snuff, which you probably want to look at the requirements and stuff for to try to gauge that or not, you might want to wait on this game for those reasons if you're definitely thinking of upgrading, or if you got something that might run better for it.
Sure. That, and even going as far as like adjusting the settings and that sort of thing as well.
Either way, I don't think don't come in to be like wowed by the graphics, because that's not the point of the game.
Sure.
I like to stay in the area that I'm at for a while and farm the enemies to get the XP.
That's what I started doing, and I feel like I started becoming a lot more successful and dying less because I kind of adopted more of your play style in my later playthroughs.
A good balance in this game that I really, really liked, and another great attribute to this game is that not only do you have to worry about your main character leveling up, but you also got to farm for your companion.
Yes.
And farming for your companion, on my second run through, I noticed like, okay, I got to do this more, and I got to seek out the XP shrines for the companion.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, I still want to do the farming thing for myself or whatever like that, because I still got to make myself strong, especially when it came down to where there's like just tons of waves. And I'm like, I can't save my companion. He's going to go down.
Yes.
but I got to be able to withstand these waves so I can pick him back up.
Yes.
So that's why it was very important for me to still utilize standing my ground, getting XP, making sure I'm strong enough. And then, okay, cool. This is advantageous now to go and find that XP shrine to upgrade my companion. Because the companion, depending on who you got, can be OP as well.
Totally. Yeah. When I was playing with the warrior, I wish I knew their names off the top of my head, but yeah, when I was playing with the fighter person, they were super strong, helped me because I mean I'm a wizard, I'm squishy and that sort of thing. But I as I was going through and kind of like farming XP and whatnot, I was focusing more so on building myself up with like toughness and the regen and that sort of thing, which helped me later on and actually kind of helped me like surpass where my fighter companion was at certain levels, especially when I was in the library. As far as the story, it's very basic. You are basically trying to make sure that the ancient king of undeath, Tar Bafon, does not get out because there is one seal left keeping him where he's at. And he's about to break out, and we don't want that. So it's like, which I don't mind. I don't mind like a really basic story like that, where it's like, okay, here's our motivation, that sort of thing, and basically everything that happens is kind of fill in the blank.
Yeah, but again, it's enough that if you learn about Pathfinder or you even heard of it, you've either heard of probably either Rune Lords or you probably heard about the Whispering Tyrant, because these are very big, huge events. Now, granted, I would love for them, because that's another thing that I think makes these Survivor games really popular, is things that you could build on top of the game.
Yeah.
So as far as expansions or DLC that they could possibly release that either goes into other campaigns, other huge events that happens in the Pathfinder world and tie it into the game somehow. And particularly more classes.
Yes.
That's I would say essential.
100%, yeah.
If they have plans to do that. If they do this, I think this could be still not going to dethrone Vampire Survivors, because I think they've established themselves. But this could be the next game that's basically its follow-up or closest that will keep people entertained until the next Vampire Survivor comes out or their next expansion. I think it's a really good game. It got really good bones.
Yeah, I like it a lot. And thank you so very much for my Black Lady Wizard as a variant. I am very, very happy about that.
But definitely, I will say for those of you, because we looked at some of the reviews on this game.
They are mixed currently on Steam.
And I think it's for good reason, because even looking at the dates of when these reviews were like the dislike and stuff like that.
It was like back in like November and stuff like that.
It was an early edition of this game, so it's like, okay, they're working on it, they're building on it, and now they've had a chance to get some of the feedback from it. And I think they took some good notes from that feedback, but still, I would definitely say that with this game, this idea of the game, I don't think it's done yet.
Totally. Yeah.
I definitely feel like there's more work that needs to be done for it to be either considered complete or in its best tip-top shape.
Yes.
And again, for those of you that are gamers out there, it's like, I try to be hard on games like this, where it's like, we really got to get back to a place where these games come out more polished and finished than ever before. But I would give the excuse to a game like this, because a lot of the games, when we talk about this, or if you hear me discuss this, they have a $50, $60, $70 tag to them.
True.
This game is not that much. This game is literally like, what, $5? Okay, $7.
Okay, but still, like,
right now it's on sale.
Under $10 for what it is, right?
Where
like,
it is,
it's great.
and especially if they're considering working on it or making DLC and expansion to it. I think this is, you can let a little bit pass.
Yeah.
I would just push for if you're into Survivors, get the game, play it for what it is. Definitely, hopefully that money goes towards making this game even better, so that way it can continue having success. The problem is, though, is like usually with a certain window of time when a game comes out that, hey, this is what it's going to be, and we need to move on to the next thing.
Sure.
And I'm hoping that at least with this game, it isn't that case right now, with it just getting released, that there's at least like at least 6 months down to a year plan of how to expand on this game, improve on it, patch it, before they go, okay, it's time to move on. This is what this game is going to be.
Yeah.
So definitely, I would say this is not a Vampire Survivor killer.
No.
I think there's some people out there that's thinking like, oh, this is supposed to be better than no, it's not.
I'd still recommend it though.
It's the whole thing. It's still a good game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good, solid game. Quick to play, easy to play. Definitely, if you have a Steam Deck,
totally. Oh my gosh.
Again, that was another thing that helps Vampire Survivors. So it's like if you got a Steam Deck and you love Vampire Survivors, this is another one to add.
Great to kill time, like you said. Yeah.
There's another one to add to that list.
Fabulous. And thank you so much, Paizo, for giving us a key to be able to review all of this and stuff. And I really hope that all of you will take the time to either hop back in, if you were doing the early access and everything sometime last year, and try once again. Or if you're going to hop in for the first time, then give it a try.
Pathfinder Gallowspire Survivors is out now. Been out since April 4th. You can find it on Steam. Hopefully you can find it other places as well, because hopefully this will be patched or basically expanded out to other consoles and different systems. It's a really good game. It's fun to play. Also, too, if you're looking for other Pathfinder games, they also have Pathfinder Kingmaker, and then they also have Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous.
And that would do it for our our first impressions of the game. I'm Gamer Becka.
I'm Gamer Lynn.
And we want you to keep it 100.